What's going on, guys? We are back with episode 6 of the
Check.
0 to 3K series, where I will be documenting my journey trying to pug completely solo on a brand new class and spec as a healer that I have never played before. Check out any episodes that you may have missed from this series. There is a playlist you can click in the top right hand corner of your screen right now. If you guys haven't already, then be sure to subscribe and ring the bell. If you want to see some more of my content, then be sure to check out my Twitch at twitch.tv/Newmen underscore TV or click the link in the description for WoW live streams of keys and mythic rating. All right, time for our vault. Now we do have 3 myth track vault slots from Mythic Plus last week. But honestly, with the bullion system, it's kind of hard to find spots that will actually be upgrades. You kind of just need a lot of crests, like my rings and my trinkets are actually pretty good. So I think we're just looking for myth track tier overall. Okay, and we did get myth track legs. Now, ideally, I would craft an embellishment in the leg slot, but might just have to take this. Since I'll probably craft an embellishment with my bracers, and the other one we'll have to see actually. So after looking at a few guides, I think that we can craft embellishment in our boots. We could go boots and bracers. They do recommend pants, but honestly, they say that the difference kind of comes down to a personal versus group impact. I could be totally wrong about that. I could be misunderstanding it. But yeah, I think these legs are such a big upgrade, and the stats are also good, and it lets me keep my shoulders, which are also very good stats. So, I mean, these belts are veteran to mid track, which is pretty big. But yeah, I think pants is probably going to be the move. And our key for the week is a +9 Algathar Academy. Let's get started. With our new 4 piece, I want to quickly talk about it and how I think it will impact my gameplay. The 2 piece makes it so that my empower spells increase my reversion healing for 50% for 8 seconds, which, if you didn't know, is my healing over time effect. This alone doesn't change too much gameplay until you combine it with the 4 piece, which makes it so that reversion has a chance per tick to make your next living flame instant and deal 50% more damage or healing, stacking up to 2 stacks. As you can tell, this can be very useful, especially since living flame can work really well with your fire breath. Each level of empowerment, next living flame hits an additional target up to 5. Use a max rank fire breath, and your group takes damage, and keep the proc and combine it with an instant cast living flame, some great healing that requires no major cooldown. Overall, seems like a pretty fun tier set, and I'm really excited to play. Since we did lots of keys last week, I have a good amount of crests stored up, about 100. My weapon still needs upgrades, but before that, I want to make my first embellishment. It's going to be basically something that's run by all preservation evokers, and that is the adaptive Dracothist arm guards. It can grant you some secondary stats when you either take damage or do damage slash healing. I first posted a public order for my enchanted aspect crest, since there is no rank to it. A few minutes later, I looked around in trade chat for a leather worker who could craft my arm guard by letting them know that it was with my materials and a 500 gold tip. I received my 525 arm guards. Combined with the new legs that I got, I want to put some new enchants on my gear since I have a few more pieces that are going to be staying for the rest of this. Like I mentioned, we have Myth Track pants that I put a frozen spell thread on, avoidance on my cloaks. And cloak actually has really good stats. I don't think I noticed last episode. And finally, more avoidance for our bracers. With this week being another week that we can get another 2 bullions, I wanted to get those so that we could get another trinket to pair with our ominous chromatic essence so we can upgrade to its fullest potential. I hopped into an LFR and killed Sarkareth, dropped both the bullion. I would have done a second boss to get a vault slot, but I didn't think of it until later on, so we will come back. Regardless, we have our bullions, and I went with getting a better version of our Broodkeeper promise. I did consider the Ward of Faceless Ire, or maybe a Rage Heart, and I still might get those later on. Pretty much all of our 100% set in stone bullion items. Let me know if you guys want to see me get any other trinkets or items, and I definitely can 2 weeks from now. We are ready to start doing keys and earning score. Once again, I made sure to filter keys to the 4 keys with the highest amount of score gain, but for some reason we had a bit of a hard time finding a group for Nokud. First key we did was a +8 Ruby Life Pools. The entire group was from Kalia Straws, which is a server I don't see very often. My ping was a bit high during this run, so definitely didn't play my best. But we also had a few players who were a bit under geared, but we managed to make it work. I didn't do any keys this week on my main, so I totally forgot about Incorporeal, meaning I didn't have Sleepwalk, but I fixed this after the first boss. It wouldn't be a Ruby Pug without Ninja pulling the Fire Dragon mini boss, and most of the group wiping to it besides the tank. Blazehoof has probably become my favorite boss in this dungeon to heal, since the damage is pretty scripted and has plenty of time to do damage. On the other hand, the last boss can be really annoying because of the insane damage that Inferno Core does. We managed to get the 2 chest for 19 score. Next was a +8 Oldemon. This key, we didn't have the issues with anyone being under geared, and it really showed in our death count compared to last key. Romac was clean. I cannot recommend a focus kick macro enough. I learned this from some Twitch streams and an old Dratnos video, I believe. Basic concept is to set a keybind that you can set a target as your focus, and then you get this weak aura, which can basically make it so that it'll tell you to kick when your focus target is casting. You then just set a keybind for your focus kick and make sure not to replace your regular kick. There is some nuance as to when you should be using this, but overall it's pretty simple and can basically allow you to ignore caster ads and focus on other aspects but not have missed any kicks. To make this even better, I like to use a plater profile that makes it so that any caster mobs have a yellow bar instead of the regular one, so that I can set them as my focus before the poll even starts. If you guys want the plater profile or the weak aura, be sure to ask me in the comments and I can definitely reply to you and I'll send it to you guys. I did have a death during the intermission of Emberon. Had a bit of range issues on Chrono Lord Deos, but luckily it wasn't Tyrannical Week, so the boss didn't live forever before we ran out of space. We got the 2 chests for 84 score, and I got traded a Haste Mastery necklace from the Demon Hunter. After simming this with questionably epic, it says that this is actually a downgrade even when maxed out its fullest potential compared to my current neck. My current neck has BIS stats, but this is surprising to me since it's on the veteran track versus this one being on the hero track. It was time for our weekly Clownfest key of the week, which was a +10 Neltharis. This might actually be our first +10 of the series, but I didn't even mean to join this since I was only looking for +8s or +9s this week. So I definitely wasn't trying to get into any +10s at all, but this group was listed as an 8 if I remember correctly, but I decided to stay because we had a high IO Shadow Priest. This key actually started off well enough, I guess. First pull with Lust was a bit small, but then our tank actually died on the next pull after I think we let one of the casts off. I can't really tell because of my Boreal weak aura, but I tried to heal him, and when I went to heal him, he procced his cheat death, and for some reason my Verdant Embrace didn't do anything. I don't know if maybe he had stored up too much damage. I'm not too sure how the Death Knight cheat death worked. Most of the pull was dead, and we managed to kite it out, so he was actually the only one who died. After using the chain on this pull, our tank decided to pull another pack
Chain
and then
acquired.
lost aggro on the
Chain
original
used.
pull, causing our warlock to get meleeed and getting our priest dangerously low. And eventually our druid would also get
Kick.
killed as well. I do think a significant amount of these failures were due to our tank. We had multiple deaths to no kicks on this pull with melts, which were basically one-shotting players because of fortified. Obviously, this isn't the tank's fault at all, but for reference, by the end of the key, I actually had the most interrupts, which should never happen. Evoker has a long kick cooldown. Granted, we did have an Evoker and a Shadow Priest and a Warlock, which all have pretty poor kick cooldowns, but still, I don't think that should really ever be happening. Our tank said this isn't going to happen, but we reassured him that we could do it, and we did still have plenty of time. This just required us to not make any more mistakes, which obviously wasn't in the cards for us. As we pulled the literal final pull for the last boss with plenty of time to do the last boss, our tank goes
Kick.
super far away
Kick.
and stands on the staircase. It seemed like he did
Defensive.
this to try to avoid the sanguine, but obviously when you have all the room that was behind us, heading in towards the boss onto a staircase, probably not the best idea, especially since the sanguine ended up actually healing some of them. This left our casters on one side and our tank on the other, basically the worst combination, because at least if we had some melee in our group, it would mean that they would be closer to the
Defensive.
mobs and it wouldn't be too big of a deal. But the thing is, casters love to stand super far away, and the tank was kiting the mobs the opposite direction.
Kick.
This combined with us accidentally overlapping CC on the incorporeal, causing the other one to get missed, led to a wipe and the DK left. With everyone else pretty annoyed with it, we said screw it and we decided to four-man the final boss. Balance Druid went Guardian, and honestly, we easily killed it. Our reward was 48 score and a crit mastery ring. Even though we depleted this key, it was pretty satisfying to get to the completion in the end. Obviously, it goes without saying, if you guys are on the last trash pack and you guys wipe for the final boss, just stay in the group. Everybody already put all their time into that key, and I understand some people maybe don't want to have the depletion on their Raider.io, but trust me, nobody is going to notice that. Nobody goes looking for your depletions or checks out your Raider.io, sees a depletion, and doesn't invite you. Nobody cares about that. It's much better to just finish a key. And even if they do, they can click on it and see that you just barely missed it. Since it was our last key for a vault slot, I just went with any key I could get into, which was +8 Azure Vault. This was similar to our Uldaman run. We had a really
Kick.
solid comp and everyone played well. Did let the spell from the Rune Seal Keeper go off a few times.
Feet.
It rooted everyone, causing other evoker to die. So I chose to dispel someone else.
Frontal.
Same thing happened later on as I was just a second too late to kick it. Final boss was very good. I used Rewind and our Og Evoker Zephyr on the first set of crystals, then my Zephyr slash an instant group-wide Living Flame. The final set was taken care of with
Defensive.
Emerald Communion. He 3-chested the key for 19 score and a Tome of Unstable Power dropped, but the priest needed it and he knew the evoker, so I believe he got it. I did get a crit haste ring though that we can use to upgrade my vault rings. I quickly went back into the bar and killed Assault of the Zakali to give us 3 vault slots for next week, since we still do need a few more sockets. I'm going to end off today's episode. Thank you guys for watching. If there is any other content you guys want to see from me other than pugging challenges in the meantime while we wait for the War Within, And be sure to let me know in the comments and make sure to subscribe. Hope you enjoyed, and I will see you all next time.